China spurns U.S. invitation for defense ministers meeting. Malaysia detains Chinese ship for looting British WWII shipwrecks. China-Japan had heated exchange in U.S. meeting. Xi requires National Art Museum of China develop socialist culture.
The Pentagon has disclosed that China has given the US the cold shoulder over a request for the defense ministers from both sides to communicate on the sidelines of an annual security forum in Singapore. According to the Wall Street Journal, the turndown was not in a polite manner either. The Pentagon said, "Overnight, the PRC informed the US that they have declined our early May invitation for Secretary Austin to meet with PRC Minister of National Defense Li Shangfu in Singapore this week." It added, "The department believes strongly in the importance of maintaining open lines of military-to-military communication between Washington and Beijing to ensure that competition does not veer into conflict." Washington hoped Li would speak with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue 2023, to be held between June 2nd and 4th in Singapore. The effort to engage Beijing has extended a week, with Austin even issuing a letter to his Chinese counterpart. China contends that a discussion could be possible only if Washington shows sincerity by lifting sanctions on Chinese officials and organizations. A Chinese embassy spokesman in Washington, Liu Pengyu, told the Journal, "Is there any sincerity in and significance of any communication like this?" The Financial Times reported that Beijing challenged Washington to lift sanctions on its defense minister in exchange for a dialogue. The U.S. sanctioned Li in 2018 for his role in China's purchase of combat aircraft and equipment from Russia's leading arms exporter. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller confirmed on May 22nd that Washington did not intend to ease Li from the penalties. A senior U.S. defense official told The Times, "This is far from the first time that the PRC has rejected invitations to communicate from the Secretary, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, or other Defense Department officials." He lamented, "Frankly, it's just the latest in a litany of excuses." Malaysia's Coast Guard announced that it had detained a Chinese vessel for allegedly looting British WWII shipwrecks in the South China Sea. Malaysian authorities said the Chinese bulk carrier and its 32 crew members, including 21 Chinese, were detained on May 29th for anchoring in its waters without a permit. The New Straits Times reported that the Chinese salvage vessel was identified as Chuan Home 68 at the shipwreck's location last month. In addition, the Coast Guard uncovered cannon shells on the Chinese vessel, suspected to be from the sunken British World War II battleships, the HMS Repulse and the HMS Prince of Wales. These cannon shells might be linked to unexploded artillery that police discovered recently at a private scrapyard in Johor, Malaysia. Japanese torpedoes sank the two British ships in 1941 off the east coast of Malaysia in the South China Sea. About 840 British crew members died in the battle, one of the worst disasters in UK naval history. Footage showed a barge carrier featuring a substantial crane and piles of weathered metal on its deck. This particular type of metal, known as pre-war steel, holds considerable value as it originates from the two warships. It can be recycled and utilized to manufacture certain scientific and medical equipment. The Chinese-registered ship Chuan 68 is notorious in the region for its illegal activities. The Daily Mail reported that it was already known for rummaging World War II shipwrecks in the South China Sea. In 2017, its crew was briefly held on suspicion of looting parts from 3 Japanese World War II shipwrecks near Usukan, Malaysia. The Indonesian Navy later tried to stop them from lifting pieces of a shipwreck near the Anambas Islands, but the Chuan 68 escaped to international waters. Authorities said the National Heritage Department's officials would work together to identify the cannon shell. Last week, Britain's National Museum of the Royal Navy stated it was distressed and concerned at the apparent vandalism for personal profit. According to the Daily Mail, Britain's Ministry of Defense last week condemned the illegal activity, saying, "Where we have evidence of desecration of the wrecks of Royal Navy vessels, we will take appropriate action, including working with regional governments and partners to prevent inappropriate activity at such sites." Japan and China have officially confirmed that their commerce ministers had a sharp confrontation during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, conference in Detroit on May 26th. A statement from the Chinese government showed that Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao spoke of Japan's chip export controls, labeling the measures as wrongdoing and accusing the country of seriously violating international economic and trade regulations. Wang also complained about the joint statement the Group of 7 countries recently made, which showed a pledge to work against Beijing's economic coercion and support regional stability in Taiwan and the South China Sea. The Chinese Commerce Minister, on the other hand, accused the group of manipulating China-related issues and interfering with its internal affairs. According to Bloomberg, Japanese Trade Minister Yasutoshi Nishimura pressed China on the detention of a Japanese executive at pharmaceuticals firm Astellas. Nishimura urged for him to be released. The man was arrested in March on espionage suspicions, but Beijing has not provided further details. Japan plans to tighten the rules on exporting some advanced chip technology. Although it carefully claims that the move is not targeting any specific country, it is expected to be more expansive than the US. An anonymous Chinese government official told the Financial Times, "What the Japanese government is saying is that they will require licenses for everything. Whether they grant those licenses or not is the question. The Japanese are further ahead than us." Wang told Nishimura that China is ready to work with Japan to boost collaboration in key economic and trade sectors. In response, Nishimura said that protecting the security of Japanese company workers and keeping a transparent business environment is essential in pursuing economic cooperation. Japan's METI said that the two ministers decided to keep in close contact.
The National Art Museum of China is located at 1 Wuxi Avenue, Dongqing District, Beijing. It was built in 1958 and inaugurated in 1962 under Mao Zedong. It is the leading art museum in China with a total land area of 30,000 square meters or 320,000 square feet. The museum was expanded to more than 5,300 square meters during the renovation in May 2004. Although NAMOC is a work developed by the CCP's regime, Bitter Winter cited sources in Beijing saying that the museum maintains a certain honesty in conveying Chinese art history, not entirely a propaganda base for the Chinese Communist Party. However, things look set to take a turn for the worse after NAMOC received a letter from CCP's General Secretary Xi Jinping a few days ago. In the letter dated May 21st, Xi noted that NAMOC will now begin a new journey and adhere to the correct political orientation. Xi made it clear that its time has come to put into practice the core socialist values in running the venue, even if this would take painstaking efforts. According to Bitter Winter, as directed by Xi, NAMOC should understand that its mission is develop socialist culture.